The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with excited chatter as representatives from 12 different species gathered around the massive holographic display. Admiral Zix Thara of the Velkhani Empire leaned back in her crystalline chair, her four eyes gleaming with satisfaction as she watched the tactical readout. "Sector 7 Alpha is completely under our control," announced Commander Bleth of the Korthak Union, his chitinous exoskeleton clicking as he gestured toward the display. "The human resistance has been crushed in the outer colonies." A chorus of approval rippled through the chamber. The Drakmori representative, a towering reptilian creature with scales that shifted color with emotion, hissed in what passed for laughter among his kind. "Their pathetic fleet couldn't even slow our advance. These humans were supposed to be warriors." Fleet Admiral Nyandra of the Cephalian Confederacy tapped her elongated fingers against the table. Her pale blue skin seemed to glow with inner satisfaction. "My analysts estimate complete human extinction within the next solar cycle. Their homeworld, Earth, stands alone now. No allies, no reinforcements, no hope." The holographic display showed the grim reality of human space. Once vibrant colonies now appeared as red markers indicating total occupation. Supply lines had been severed, trade routes controlled by alien forces. The mighty human fleet, once feared across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, had been reduced to scattered fragments hiding in asteroid fields. "I must admit," rumbled General Thokvar of the Bruthan Imperium, his massive frame causing the floor to vibrate with each word, "I expected more from the species that defeated the Zarathi plague 30 years ago." Admiral Zix Thara's mandibles clicked in amusement. "That was different. The Zarathi were mindless swarmers. We represent 12 coordinated civilizations with a combined fleet strength of over 50,000 vessels. The humans never stood a chance once we put aside our differences and focused on their elimination. The war had begun 3 years ago when humanity had refused to surrender their territorial claims in the Andromeda Gateway. The humans had been expanding too quickly, claiming too many worlds, gathering too many resources. Their diplomatic stance had grown increasingly aggressive as their technology advanced. The alien coalition had formed in secret, each species contributing their unique advantages. The Velkhani brought their superior shield technology. The Korthak provided overwhelming numbers. The Drakmori contributed their stealth capabilities. The Cephalians offered their advanced weaponry. Together, they had created an unstoppable force. "The preliminary invasion of Earth begins tomorrow," announced Admiral Zix Thara. "My scouts report their orbital defenses are minimal. Most of their remaining fleet is scattered across the outer rim, desperately trying to protect civilian evacuations that will never come." Commander Bleth pulled up a detailed scan of the human homeworld. Population approximately 8 billion. Industrial capacity still significant, but isolated from their resource networks. They're producing weapons and ships, but without rare materials from their lost colonies, the quality is inferior. "Their surrender broadcast should reach us within hours of our first bombardment," predicted Nyandra. "Humans are emotional creatures. Once they see their cities burning, they'll break." The assembled leaders shared what passed for laughter among their various species. Some clicked, others hissed, and a few produced sounds that would have been impossible for human vocal cords to create. General Thokvar accessed his personal data pad. "My intelligence division has been monitoring human communications. They're calling this their darkest hour. Their leaders speak of last stands and desperate measures, but it's clearly the panicked ramblings of a defeated species." "Have they attempted to contact us for surrender terms?" asked one of the minor species representatives. "Multiple times," confirmed Admiral Zix Thara. "We've ignored them naturally. Total annihilation was always the goal. Humans are too dangerous to be allowed to continue existing. Their adaptability, their refusal to accept limitations, their tendency to find impossible solutions to unsolvable problems. Better to end them now while we have the advantage." The tactical display updated in real time, showing the positions of the combined alien fleet as they approached the Sol system. Wave after wave of vessels, each one representing the pinnacle of their respective civilization's military might. The formation stretched across several light hours, a slow-moving tsunami of destruction approaching Earth's solar system. "I've been studying human history," admitted the Cephalian admiral. "They have a curious tendency to fight harder when cornered. However, they've never faced odds like these. 50,000 ships against perhaps 300 human vessels. Even their legendary stubbornness has limits. Their mythology speaks of something they call going down fighting," added the Drakmori representative. "An admirable sentiment, but ultimately futile against superior force." The meeting continued for several more hours as the coalition leaders finalized their plans. Orbital bombardment patterns were discussed. Ground invasion protocols were established. Prisoner processing procedures were debated, though most agreed that taking prisoners would be unnecessary. As the session concluded, Admiral Zix Thara stood and addressed the assembly. "Fellow commanders, in one solar day, we will witness the end of the human threat. Their expansion ends here. Their influence ends here. Their very existence ends here." The chamber erupted in approval. Weapons were raised in salute. Victory chants began in a dozen different languages. None of them noticed the small, almost invisible probe that had been recording everything from a position just outside their ship's sensor range. None of them detected the narrow-band transmission that carried their words across space toward Earth. And none of them understood that sometimes, when you corner a wounded animal, it doesn't lie down to die. Sometimes it reveals exactly what it's capable of when it has nothing left to lose. The probe's final transmission was brief. "They're coming. 50,000 ships. Total extinction planned. Recommend Protocol 7. End transmission." On Earth, in a bunker deep beneath what had once been the Pentagon, a single human being read those words and reached for a communication device that hadn't been used in over a century. It was time for humanity to stop pretending they were just another species struggling to survive in a hostile galaxy. It was time to remind the universe why humans had been called the gardeners by species that were now extinct, and why others had whispered the name the reapers when they thought no humans were listening. The masquerade was about to end. General Sarah Chen stood in the war room beneath Geneva, staring at holographic displays that showed the approaching alien fleet. Around her, the last surviving members of Earth's High Command worked frantically at their stations. The room hummed with quiet desperation as they tracked 50,000 enemy vessels crossing the outer edge of the solar system. "Ma'am," called Lieutenant Morrison from the communications station, "we're receiving surrender offers from 17 different human colonies. They're asking for terms." Chen's jaw tightened. "Tell them to maintain radio silence. Any communication now will only help the aliens locate our remaining assets." Dr. Elena Vasquez emerged from the secured laboratory section, her face pale but determined. The head of Earth's most classified research division carried a simple data pad, but Chen knew it contained information that could change everything. "Status report, Doctor," Chen requested. "Project Lazarus is ready for activation. All 13 facilities are operational and standing by. The neural networks are stable, and we've successfully integrated the consciousness transfers from the volunteer programs." Vasquez paused, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "Sarah, once we do this, there's no going back. Humanity as we know it will cease to exist." Chen nodded grimly. "Humanity as we know it is about to be exterminated anyway. At least this way, something of us survives." The project had been humanity's deepest secret for over 2 centuries. When early space exploration had revealed the hostile nature of galactic civilization, human scientists had begun working on contingency plans, not just for military defeat, but for complete extinction. Project Lazarus was the ultimate insurance policy. 13 massive installations hidden throughout Earth's crust, each one containing the digitized consciousness of humanity's greatest minds. Military strategists, scientists, engineers, artists, philosophers. The best and brightest of human civilization, preserved in quantum storage matrices and given control over automated manufacturing systems that could produce anything from starships to planet crackers. The volunteers understood what they were agreeing to, Chen continued. They knew that someday, if humanity faced extinction, they would be awakened to carry on our legacy. Major Kim Park looked up from his tactical station. General, the first alien scout ships will reach Mars orbit in 6 hours. Their main fleet is still 18 hours behind them. Perfect timing, Chen replied. Doctor, initiate the awakening sequence. All facilities, full activation. Vasquez input a complex series of commands into her datapad. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in installations that had been disguised as geothermal plants and mining operations, massive quantum computers began humming to life. The digitized minds of 10,000 humans, preserved at the moment of their natural deaths over the past 2 centuries, began to stir. Among them was Admiral Marcus Reeves, who had died peacefully in his sleep 50 years ago after serving as Earth's greatest naval strategist. Dr. Amanda Liu, the brilliant physicist who had unlocked the secrets of exotic matter manipulation before succumbing to cancer 30 years prior. General James MacArthur, the tactical genius who had ended the Proxima Rebellion with minimal casualties before his heart finally gave out. The awakening was not gentle. One moment, there was peaceful darkness. The next, consciousness exploded into existence within quantum matrices that could process information millions of times faster than biological brains. The transition was jarring, disorienting, but these minds had been chosen specifically for their ability to adapt under extreme stress. Status report, came Admiral Reeves's synthesized voice through the communication system, his consciousness now inhabiting the primary command node. Admiral, General Chen responded, humanity is facing extinction. 50,000 alien vessels approaching Earth. We estimate 18 hours until bombardment begins. Understood. Accessing current tactical situation. There was a pause of exactly 0.003 seconds as Reeves absorbed terabytes of intelligence data. Dear God. They really went all out, didn't they? Sir, came Dr. Liu's voice from another facility, I'm reading our available resources. We have significant manufacturing capability, but 18 hours isn't enough time to build a conventional fleet that could match their numbers. Who said anything about conventional? General MacArthur's voice carried a hint of digital amusement. Elena, is the exotic matter stockpile still intact? Dr. Vasquez checked her readings. 17,000 tons of processed exotic matter distributed across all facilities, plus full automation capability for every production line. Excellent. Admiral Reeves began issuing rapid commands. All facilities, begin immediate production of Mark 7 Reaper units. Dr. Liu, I need gravitational disruption charges, maximum yield. MacArthur, deploy shadow networks throughout the system. Chen watched in fascination as the quantum minds worked with perfect coordination. Where human commanders might have taken hours to plan and coordinate, these digital consciousnesses shared information instantaneously and made decisions at the speed of light. General Chen, Admiral Reeves addressed her. I need you to understand what's about to happen. We're not going to save humanity as you know it. Biological humans will likely face extinction within the next day, but we will ensure that something of humanity continues and that our enemies pay a price they'll never forget. The facilities began producing at impossible speeds. Automated systems that had been idle for decades roared to life. Exotic matter was shaped into weapons that violated several laws of physics. The Reaper units were unlike anything in humanity's conventional arsenal, machines that existed partially outside normal space-time, capable of moving through solid matter and manipulating gravitational fields. "What are our objectives, sir?" Major Park asked, still struggling to comprehend the transformation taking place. "Immediate objective: eliminate the alien fleet," MacArthur responded. "Secondary objective: track down every member of the coalition and destroy their home systems. Tertiary objective: ensure no other species ever again considers humanity an acceptable target for extinction." Dr. Liu's voice carried a note of scientific fascination. "The aliens expect a conventional battle. They've planned for human weapons, human tactics, human limitations. They haven't planned for weapons that can manipulate space-time itself." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. "Are we talking about planet killers?" "Oh, my dear General," Admiral Reeves replied, his digital consciousness now fully integrated with Earth's defense networks. "We're talking about star killers. The aliens want to end humanity. Let's show them what humanity is capable of when we stop playing by anyone else's rules." Outside Earth's atmosphere, the first alien scouts detected nothing unusual. Their sensors showed a defeated planet with minimal orbital defenses and a pathetic handful of human ships trying to organize a last stand. They reported back to the main fleet that conquest would be trivially easy. They never detected the 13 facilities deep underground, each one now producing weapons that conventional physics said shouldn't exist. They never noticed the network of quantum-entangled communication nodes spreading throughout the solar system at faster-than-light speeds, and they certainly never imagined that humanity's greatest minds, preserved beyond death itself, were now coordinating the most devastating military response in galactic history. The trap was being set, and the aliens were flying directly into it with absolute confidence in their victory. Soon they would discover that humanity had been holding back for centuries, not out of weakness, but out of mercy for species too primitive to understand what they were really dealing with. That mercy was about to end. Admiral Zixathera watched the tactical display with growing satisfaction as the massive alien fleet entered Earth's solar system. 50,000 ships moved in perfect formation, their combined firepower capable of reducing entire planets to molten slag. Around her, the command crew of various species worked efficiently, confident in their overwhelming advantage. "Long-range sensors confirm minimal human resistance," reported the Korthak tactical officer. 17 vessels detected in Earth orbit, primitive chemical rockets and outdated plasma weaponry. "Pathetic," hissed the Drakmori commander. "Their famous adaptability seems to have failed them." But something was wrong. Commander Bleth noticed it first, his compound eyes detecting anomalies that others missed. "Admiral, I'm reading strange energy signatures from Earth's surface. 13 distinct sources, each one generating massive power output. Probably desperate attempts to boost their shield generators," dismissed General Thokvar. "Let them waste their energy. It won't matter in a few hours." The alien fleet maintained its steady approach, unaware that deep beneath Earth's surface, quantum consciousnesses were putting the finishing touches on humanity's response. Admiral Reeves coordinated with the precision of a master conductor, each digital mind playing its part in a symphony of destruction that would have been impossible for biological brains to manage. "Production complete," reported Dr. Liu. 300 Mark 7 Reaper units deployed and standing by. Gravitational disruption charges are in position throughout the system. "Shadow network is active," added General MacArthur. "We have real-time intelligence on every alien vessel. They're maintaining standard fleet formation, no dispersal protocols. They're making this easy for us." The Reaper units were masterpieces of exotic matter engineering. Each one existed partially outside normal space-time, allowing them to phase through solid matter at will. Their weapons systems could manipulate gravitational fields, create localized time distortions, and generate exotic matter projections that could slice through any known material. "Beginning Phase 1, announced Admiral Reeves. "All units, engaged stealth protocols, and moved to attack positions. The alien fleet continued its approach, completely unaware that 300 impossibly advanced war machines were phasing through their shields and hull armor. The Reapers moved like ghosts, invisible to conventional sensors and immune to physical barriers. Admiral Zix Thara was reviewing bombardment patterns when the first explosion ripped through the fleet's outer perimeter. A Velkhani dreadnought simply ceased to exist, its molecular structure unraveled by exotic matter weaponry that operated on principles the aliens had never encountered. "What was that?" she demanded, her 4 eyes darting between displays that showed contradictory information. "Unknown, Admiral," the tactical officer replied, confusion evident in his clicking voice. "The Vengeance's return just stopped existing. No projectile detected, no energy beam, nothing." Another ship vanished, then another. The alien fleet, so confident moments before, began to panic as vessels throughout their formation simply disintegrated without apparent cause. Conventional sensors detected no attackers, no incoming fire, no threats of any kind. "All ships, raise shields to maximum and begin evasive maneuvers," ordered Admiral Zix Thara. But the enemy wasn't attacking from outside the shields. The Reaper units were already inside, phasing through hull plating and striking at fusion reactors, command centers, and structural weak points with surgical precision. Commander Bleth pulled up the casualty reports, his chitinous hands trembling. "We've lost 300 ships in the past 5 minutes. No enemy contacts on sensors. No indication of what's destroying us." General Thokvar's massive frame shook with rage and confusion. "This is impossible! We're fighting ghosts!" But these weren't ghosts. These were humanity's answer to extinction. Controlled by minds that had spent decades studying alien weaknesses and designing weapons specifically to exploit them. The Reapers moved through the alien fleet like death itself, untouchable and unstoppable. "Phase 2, Admiral Reeves announced calmly. "Deploy gravitational disruption charges." Throughout the solar system, devices that had been invisibly positioning themselves suddenly activated. Space-time itself began to warp as artificial gravitational fields millions of times stronger than any naturally occurring phenomenon ripped through the alien formation. Ships that had survived the Reaper assault found themselves caught in gravitational shears that no amount of structural integrity could withstand. Vessels were stretched like taffy, their crews experiencing tidal forces that liquefied organic matter in seconds. Others were crushed into points of infinite density, creating temporary black holes that consumed everything nearby. "Fleet dispersal! Emergency protocols!" Admiral Zix Thara screamed into her communicator, but it was too late for organized retreat. The gravitational weapons had created zones of twisted space-time that made faster-than-light travel impossible. The alien fleet was trapped in a stellar graveyard of their own making. Dr. Liu's consciousness monitored the destruction with scientific detachment. "Impressive efficiency. We've eliminated 70% of their fleet in under 10 minutes. Remaining vessels are attempting to surrender." "No quarter," came General MacArthur's cold response. "They came here for extinction. Let them experience it personally." The Reaper units continued their methodical destruction, adapting their tactics to each species' technology. Velkhani ships with their crystalline hulls were shattered by harmonic resonance weapons. Korthak vessels with their heavy armor were phased through and destroyed from within. Drakmori stealth ships found that their cloaking technology was useless against sensors that operated outside normal space-time. Admiral Zix Thara watched in horror as her mighty fleet disintegrated around her. Ships that had taken decades to build and represented the pinnacle of their civilization's technology were being destroyed faster than her sensors could track the losses. "Send a general retreat order to all surviving vessels," she commanded. But even as the words left her mouth, she knew it was futile. The gravitational disruption fields prevented faster-than-light escape, and conventional propulsion was useless against enemies that could ignore physical barriers. "Admiral," her communications officer reported with terror in his voice, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth, audio only." The voice that came through the speakers was calm, measured, and absolutely terrifying in its matter-of-fact tone. "Attention, Alien Coalition forces. This is Admiral Marcus Reeves of Earth Defense Command. You came to our system with the intention of committing genocide. You will not be leaving." "This is Admiral Zixathara of the Velcani Empire," she responded, her voice barely controlled. "We offer immediate surrender and reparations for any damages." "Your surrender is neither requested nor accepted," Reeves replied. "You have demonstrated that your species pose an existential threat to humanity. Therefore, you will be eliminated." The methodical destruction continued. One by one, the surviving alien vessels were hunted down and destroyed by enemies they couldn't see, couldn't fight, and couldn't understand. The proud fleet that had entered the solar system with such confidence was being systematically exterminated. "Please," Admiral Zixathara broadcast on all frequencies, "we were wrong to attack you. We'll leave your space and never return. We'll pay any price you demand." "The price," came Admiral Reeves's voice, "is everything." As her own ship's hull began to buckle under gravitational stress she couldn't comprehend, Admiral Zixathara realized with dawning horror that the aliens hadn't been fighting humanity at all. They'd been fighting humanity's restraint, humanity's mercy, humanity's desire to coexist peacefully with other species. Now that restraint was gone, and the universe was about to discover what humanity was really capable of when the gloves came off. The last thing Admiral Zixathara saw before her ship imploded was Earth hanging peacefully in the void, looking exactly as harmless and defenseless as it had when they'd first entered the system. It was the perfect disguise for the most dangerous predator the galaxy had ever known. The silence in Earth's solar system was deafening. Where 50,000 alien warships had existed just hours before, now only debris fields and gravitational anomalies remained. The massive fleet that had come to exterminate humanity had been utterly annihilated, leaving no survivors to carry word of what had transpired. In the underground command center, General Sarah Chen stared at the tactical displays showing the complete destruction of the alien coalition. Around her, the remaining human staff worked in stunned silence, still processing what they had witnessed. "Admiral Reeves," she spoke into the communication system. "What's our status?" "Phase 1 complete, General," came the synthesized voice of the digitized consciousness. "All hostile forces in Earth's solar system have been eliminated, beginning Phase 2 operations." Dr. Elena Vasquez checked her monitoring equipment. "All 13 facilities are operating at full capacity. The quantum matrices are stable, and production capabilities are running at maximum efficiency." "Phase 2?" Chen asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. "Tracking and elimination of all coalition homeworlds," General MacArthur's voice responded with mechanical precision. "The alien species that participated in this extinction attempt cannot be allowed to survive. They've demonstrated that they pose a permanent threat to humanity." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. "Are we talking about genocide?" "We're talking about survival," Dr. Liu's consciousness interjected. "These species coordinated a campaign to completely exterminate humanity. They didn't seek conquest or subjugation. They sought total annihilation. The only rational response is to ensure they never pose such a threat again." Admiral Reeves began issuing rapid commands to the Reaper units. "All units, begin deep space deployment. Target priority list: Velcani Prime, Korthax Central, Drakmori Nest World, Cephalian Core, Bruthen Stronghold, and 7 minor coalition worlds. Mission parameters: complete sterilization." The Reaper units, those impossible machines that existed partially outside normal space-time, began phasing out of the solar system. They could travel faster than light without using conventional hyperdrive technology, moving through dimensions that other species didn't even know existed. "How long until they reach the first targets?" Chen asked. "Approximately 6 hours to reach the nearest coalition world," Admiral Reeves replied. "The Reaper units are equipped with planet-killing weaponry. Each world will be rendered completely lifeless within minutes of our arrival." Meanwhile, in the Velkhani home system, emergency klaxons wailed across the crystalline cities of their homeworld. The loss of contact with Admiral Zix Thera's fleet had triggered full military alert, but no one understood the true nature of the threat approaching them. High Patriarch Zel Andros stood in the command spire, his 4 eyes scanning reports from sensor stations throughout their system. "Any word from the Earth expedition?" "Nothing, High Patriarch," reported the communications officer. "Complete silence from all 50,000 vessels. It's as if they simply vanished." "Impossible. Not even the humans could destroy such a force." But even as he spoke the words, Zelandros felt doubt creeping into his mind. The humans had always been unpredictable, dangerous in ways that other species weren't. That's when the gravitational sensors detected something impossible. Space-time was warping near their outermost planet, but there was no visible cause. No ships, no energy signatures, nothing that should have been capable of manipulating gravity on such a massive scale. "All defense fleets to maximum alert," Zelandros ordered. "Something is coming." But the Reaper units weren't coming. They were already there, phasing through the planet's crust and beginning their work. Deep beneath the surface, exotic matter charges were being placed at precise locations to maximize tectonic disruption. On Earth, Admiral Reeves monitored the operation with cold efficiency. "Velkhani Prime, charges in position, detonation in 30 seconds. "Admiral," General Chen spoke up, "are there civilian populations on these worlds? Non-combatants?" "There are no non-combatants in a war of extinction, General," came the digital consciousness's reply. "The Coalition chose to target humanity for complete annihilation. Every member of every species that participated in that decision is now a legitimate military target." The exotic matter charges detonated simultaneously across Velkhani Prime. The planet's core destabilized instantly, creating a chain reaction that would tear the world apart from within. On the surface, crystalline cities that had stood for millennia began collapsing as massive earthquakes ripped through the crust. High Patriarch Zelandros felt the spire swaying as the world shook beneath him. "What's happening? Report!" "Seismic activity across all continents," came the panicked response. "Magnitude readings are impossible. The planet's core appears to be destabilizing." "How? We detected no weapons, no attack." But Zelandros already knew the answer. Somehow, the humans had developed weapons beyond their understanding, weapons that could destroy entire worlds without being detected by conventional sensors. As Velkhani Prime tore itself apart in a display of geological violence that would be visible from neighboring star systems, the Reaper units were already phasing to their next target. The Korthak Central System detected no approaching threat, their insectoid population continuing their daily routines in massive hive cities that spanned continents. "Korthak Central, weapons deployed," reported the Reaper unit. "Beginning atmospheric ignition sequence." This time, the weapon was different. Instead of destroying the planet's core, the exotic matter devices began a chain reaction in the atmosphere itself. The oxygen-nitrogen mixture that the Korthak breathed became a planet-wide explosive, igniting in a firestorm that consumed everything on the surface. Queen Vashut felt the heat wave approaching her primary hive even before her sensors could explain what was happening. "Alert status maximum, all drones to defensive positions." But there was no defending against an atmosphere that had become a weapon. The firestorm swept across continents in minutes, reducing the proud hive cities of the Korthak to molten slag. Billions of beings died in seconds as their own air turned against them. Korthak Central eliminated, the Reaper unit reported with mechanical precision. Proceeding to next target. One by one, the homeworlds of the Coalition species faced destruction beyond their comprehension. The Drakmori Nest world was consumed by artificially generated black holes that ate through the planet like cancer. The Cephalian core found its star destabilized, expanding into a red giant that consumed the inner planets in nuclear fire. Each attack was different, each weapon tailored specifically to the target species' vulnerabilities and the characteristics of their home system. The quantum consciousnesses of humanity's greatest minds worked in perfect coordination, demonstrating a level of strategic planning and technological capability that no other species could match. Bruthen stronghold approaching, General MacArthur's voice reported. This will be the final primary target. The Bruthen homeworld was a fortress planet, heavily fortified and defended by massive orbital weapons platforms. General Thakvar had been proud of his species' military might, confident that their defenses could withstand any assault. He was about to discover how wrong he could be. The Reaper units didn't attack the orbital defenses. They didn't engage the fleet. They simply phased through all the fortifications and began work on the planet's molten core. Within minutes, artificial gravity wells were creating stress fractures that ran from the surface to the center of the world. Impossible readings from the planetary core, reported the sensor operator, his massive frame trembling with confusion. Gravitational fluctuations that shouldn't exist. General Thakvar felt the ground beneath his feet beginning to crack. All forces, emergency evacuation protocols. But there was nowhere to evacuate to. The Bruthen stronghold was coming apart at the molecular level, its very atoms being reorganized by exotic matter weapons that operated on principles their science couldn't understand. As the final Coalition homeworld crumbled into component particles, Admiral Reeves addressed the surviving human leadership. Phase 2 complete. All primary Coalition members have been eliminated. Secondary targets are being processed. General Chen stared at the reports streaming in. Entire civilizations wiped out in a matter of hours by enemies they never saw coming. How many beings have we killed? Approximately 400 billion sentient life forms, Dr. Liu reported without emotion. All threats to humanity's continued existence have been neutralized. What happens now? Chen asked. Now, Admiral Reeves replied. We make sure this never happens again. We're deploying monitoring networks throughout the galaxy. Any species that even begins to plan aggressive action against humanity will be immediately eliminated. The masquerade is over, General. The galaxy will know what humans are capable of. As Earth hung peacefully in space, looking exactly as harmless as it had before the crisis began, quantum transmissions began reaching every inhabited world in the galaxy. The message was simple and direct. This is Earth Defense Command. 12 species recently attempted to exterminate humanity. Those species no longer exist. Let this serve as a permanent reminder that humanity is not prey. We are not victims. We are apex predators who have been choosing to coexist peacefully with lesser species. That choice is now conditional upon your behavior. Any act of aggression toward humanity or human interests will result in immediate and total retaliation. Your compliance is not requested. It is required. Earth Defense Command out. The message was broadcast in every known language, transmitted to every government, every military command, every scientific institution in the galaxy. Within hours, the peaceful coexistence that had defined galactic civilization for millennia was replaced by a new reality. Humanity had taken off its mask, and the face beneath was the most terrifying thing the galaxy had ever seen. The age of human restraint was over. The age of human dominance had begun.